Hi class, my name is Sarah Wilkins. This week we'll be talking a little bit about cellular respiration. This is for the Advanced Group Concepts presentation number 5. Cellular respiration is the process that allows our body to harvest a huge amount of energy from a single glucose. It's so efficient that 30 ATP is what we'll get for every 1 glucose molecule that we eat. So in this exercise, we're going to break down exactly where that ATP comes from. We're going to talk about the steps involved in generating ATP, NADH, FADH2, the names, structures, and enzymes for each step. We'll also look at the conversion rates from NADH and FADH2 as it goes over to that ATP and calculate how exactly we got that 30 ATP. Alright, so here we see that there are 4 steps that we're going to go through today. We have glycolysis, transformation, the citric acid cycle, and electron transport chain. And you can see on the right kind of some of those steps that we're going to go through. You can see that glycolysis, the pyruvate oxidation, and that citric acid cycle going over to that oxidative phosphorylation, which we will talk about later. So our first step here is going to be that glycolysis. We have 1 molecule of glucose that essentially is going to be split into pyruvate, and this is going to be split into 2 pyruvates. And the energy to split that glucose is going to come from ATP. The energy that is released during glycolysis is used to make 4 molecules of ATP. So during this glycolysis process, high energy electrons are going to be transferred to the NAD plus molecules, which then is going to produce 2 molecules of NADH. So that's going to generate 3 ATP in short. You can also see a little bit about that process down on the bottom half of that slide as well. Step 2 is transformation. In this step, we're going to transform pyruvate to the acetyl-CoA. And during this process, 3-carbon pyruvates that we got from glycolysis we had just talked about loses a carbon and produces 2 carbon molecules, and that's going to be called our acetyl-CoA. The removed carbon takes 2 oxygens from that pyruvate and will exit the body as CoA2. Also, 2 NADH are produced during the oxidative decarboxylation of pyruvate, which happens during this transformation process. And transformation is going to be facilitated by the pyruvate dehydrogenase complex. So we need to keep that in mind. That's very important. And 5 ATP is what's going to be yielded. Step 3, we have the citric acid cycle. A lot of us have already heard about this in some of our other prerequisite courses. So we'll just go through kind of an overview of what that is. So during the citric acid cycle, NADH delivers high energy electrons, and we're going to be left with a positive charge on the NAD. So this is the NADH+. The FADH2 is also going to carry high energy electrons to the electron transport chain, where they will drive ATP productions. So we need to keep that in mind. We also have the oxaloacetate, and the oxaloacetate is regenerated at the end of the cycle. So this occurs during the end of that cycle. Energy can be cut from the cycle mostly because of how energetic the steps are that occur here. So that's very important in the citric acid cycle. The energy that's released is going to be captured as electron shuttles, and these shuttles are reduced to NADH and FADH2. In step 4, we have the oxidative phosphorylation. In this step, the NADH and FADH2 are transported to the electron transport chain, which we've also heard about. And this is where the high energy electrons are going to drive that synthesis of the ATP. And 2 electron carriers are going to shuttle the electrons between those necessary complexes. And those complexes are the coenzyme Q and the cytochrome. So those are very important in the oxidative phosphorylation. The electrochemical gradient is going to be generated by those translocated protons, which are going to be located across the inner mitochondrial membrane. Alright, so lastly, also part of this, we have 4 mitochondrial membrane complexes, and these are important to keep in mind as part of that process. So you can see on the left there, it kind of breaks it down as well. So the first complex, we have NADHQ, which is the oxidoreductase. The second complex, we have the succinate Q reductase. Complex 3 is the cytochrome C reductase. Complex 4 is the cytochrome C oxidase. And 3 ATP are yielded. In short, in total, we will have that 30 ATP from all of those processes that's going to be at the end.